drawing details from both Parsi and Irani traditions. It is hoped that the budding young priest will be benefited by constant use of this work, and that the long-felt need of the community for an authentic manual will be accomplished December 12, 2004. As you can see, this book is authenticated by none other than a very good scholar of our religion. We have borrowed quite a bit of material from this book, and we are indebted awfully to these two Mohammeds, Jehan and Adi, for this wonderful book. So, there are other people who have done quite a bit of work also in preparing for these North American ceremonies. The one that comes to my mind is Zoroastrian Society of Ontario under the leadership of Keki Shroff and Putli Mirza and others, who created a very good guidelines for that ceremony in Toronto in 80s almost, step-by-step instructions. And they also even selected a funeral home and made a formal contract with the home for a Zoroastrian dead disposal ceremonies. These are all given also. And then last year they finally realized that they need a much more formal thing, so they have published a book which we'll talk about it later on. Zoroastrian Association of Florida, under the able leadership of our past president, Jehabaks Daruwala, and also his vice president, Dr. Burgess Shroff, and with other people like Kersi Munshi and Meena Dubash and others, we created some guidelines because many people were asking about it. And we went and created a laminated ready reference card for the families to give them step-by-step instructions what to do before and after the death. Then we followed it up with a very detailed pamphlet for helping the family to prepare for the death, for all the documents required for the same, how to go about finding a funeral home, burial place, or crematorium, and all the ceremonies required for the disposal of the body for the days after. I am sure there are many others that come to my mind. Mohammad Zarir Bandara in Los Angeles, I think, has even created an audio version of all this, and we want to thank all of them. And I want to apologize that I haven't included all the attempts here because there is just not enough space for it. But those who have there and I have omitted, please let me know. I can include them. I am on slide number 49, the book by the ZSO that just came up. As I mentioned, I have some copies of it. You can get it from their president, Darais Barucha, who is now on slide number 50. And Darais Barucha is a wonderful person, and I just wanted to mention his name. He can then give you a copy or let you know how to obtain it. The book contains immediate requirements at the funeral home, expenses involved, post-funeral ceremonies and prayers in the 4 parts, and then they have 3 appendixes. One is for the local Mohammeds for funeral ceremonies, then the Sachkar final holy bath, and then suggested remuneration to Mohammeds, which is quite interesting. So now I am on slide number 51, and we will discuss in detail some of the things from the ZAF guidelines for death ceremony, which is in 3 parts: items to consider before death, upon death, and religious aspects. In the case of time, I just want to continue quickly on this one because you have both of this information on the files I have sent you. So if you don't mind for a little time that we will take. So first of all, people don't realize that there are so many things you have to consider before that. And so a living will and healthcare proxy, list of the contacts, the North American Morbid Council as a help, place to find documents like birth certificate, citizen record, etc. Read and understand their last will and testament. If you don't have a will, make it so that you don't have any problem later on. Duly signed and notarized. The most common method is the cremation. So the best to decide about cremation and funeral arrangements and decide where the required Zarathustra prayers for the first 4 days and thereafter be performed either locally or in their country of origin, using their family Pantaki in the Agyari in Bombay or in the Indian town wherever they came from. I'm on slide number 52, and if you want to do so in India, then please have the information of the Morbid Agyari readily available. If locally, then consult the Morbids of your choice for the ceremony ahead of time. Many places there is no Morbids and they have to find a Morbid from the nearby association. Generally, the most important thing to know is that funeral homes in North America are not familiar with the Parsi Zoroastrian requirements of the only community members, Zoroastrian males for the males and females for the females, washing the body and clothing it at the funeral home themselves to prepare it for the pious funeral services prayers. This is very important because many people, funeral homes just don't know that. So therefore, you should have this discussion with the funeral home of your choice beforehand, so you have no problem at the end. Number 53, in case of cremation, it is also very helpful to decide in advance how the ashes will be disposed. We talk about that later on. You should know the financial statements. I'm just going to go quickly because this is all there. The person if person is involved in any legal disputes, outstanding bills like utilities, phone bills, locate the health records and insurance policies. If you're the spouse, if you're protected with the mortgage insurance policies of the home, has the person who is dying indicated whether they want to be an organ donor. Number 54 slide. If he passes away at home, get in touch with the doctor. This is now the second part. Upon that, what you should do, you get your doctor, he will come most probably to home and give a death certificate. The most important thing is coroner certificate, which is required for all the circumstances, and you should obtain that. Usually he drops in and gives a certificate based on doctor's death certificate. If it is a sudden death, call 911, who comes and transfer the body to a hospital where they pronounce them dead, and then by attending emergency physician, and then coroner certificate will also have to follow. If the circumstances of the death are suspicious, there might be a delay for the coroner's investigation. We are in 55. If someone dies in a hospital or nursing home, they will follow the required procedure and the family does not need to worry about them. You have to call the funeral home you selected, tell them where the body is. They will get in touch with hospital and take care of obtaining coroner's certificate and death certificate. Inform the Morbids and association board members. Obtain 10 to 15 copies of the death certificate, very important, from funeral director, or you could go to a website or the local city hall. The information required for the death certificate is in the bottom of this on slide 55. I am on slide number 56. If it is he is requiring a social security benefit, then you should notify Social Security Office. If you are also a surviving spouse, make sure that you get the increased benefit if at all. And if you have a minor children, make sure they are included. Contact the health insurance company or employer. Locate the asset papers so you know everything about the assets of the deceased. Locate IRS and state tax information and returns. Contact insurance company. And if the deceased is listed as the beneficiary of another policy, make sure that the name is removed. I'm just going very quickly, but it is quite a step-by-step understanding what you have to do. On slide number 57 again, if contact the employer for information he was employed, return the credit cards, and if you want to continue one, make sure that you are the only one who does that, who has the name. Seek the advice of an accountant or tax advisor. Arrange to change any joint bank accounts in your name. Arrange to change stocks and bonds in your name. Make sure that important bills like mortgage payments are paid. I am on slide number 58. We now come to the ceremonies and what to do with the ceremonies. And the two ceremonies is the Sachkar and Gay Sarna. We have to do the major adaptation, as we said, about this because we do not have Dokma and burial and cremation is the only one. We also talk about the options for the ceremonies to be performed later on. I am on slide number 59. The procedure for preparation of the Parsi of the body prior to the pious ceremony in accordance with the traditional Zoroastrian practice. Work with the funeral home on this one. After the body is brought to the funeral home by the funeral home people, you are informed and you go there and make sure a devo is always lighted next to the head. A Mobed and Mobedia should direct the Jatusti performing Sachkar step by step, all along, directing them to recite Yathavarya. Body is usually taken away by the funeral home and kept in preparation room in a separate area of the funeral home, usually on a gurney. So 2 or 6 for Zoroastrian, 2 to 6 are required because you never know how heavy the body could be, and they should wash their hands, perform their Kusti prayers before they touch the body, and then they have to do the Sachkar ceremony. They should remove the body carefully from the gurney to the preparation table, which is usually there, and then remove all the clothing from the body, and then wash the body and dry it. Usually the funeral home provides you towel and water bucket. Usually the preparation table also have a drain connected to it, or you can just, in the difficult circumstances, just use sponging the body with wet towel. Should suffice for doctrinal purposes. Cover the head with a white scarf or cap. Tie a strip of cloth as a knot is optional, making sure the ears are open. Put a pajama, preferably white or light color sadre, and has been washed and not the new ones. Closest family member then takes the disease wash kasti, prepares the kasti with the guidance and direction of Mobed or Mobedyar, and then a white shirt for male or white dress for the female is put on, and then the whole body is covered with a white sheet right up to the chin level. Finally, the family members may then wish to pay their final homage to the deceased by touching the body for the last time. Body is then placed in the casket and ready for the Gaisana. Slide number 61. After the Sachkar, the casket with the body is rolled into the funeral chapel room, where the Gaisana ceremony will be performed by the Mobeds, as we discussed before. Parsi Devo is usually placed near the head of the dead person. Gaisana ceremony is performed by chanting Aunavati Gatha by 1 Mobed or 2 Mobeds, depending upon the availability. Persons gather, then pay their last respect and leave the funeral home. Body is then in the custody of the funeral home. And if it is cremated, the funeral home will inform when the cremation is going to take place. I'm on slide number 62. Burial versus cremation is a big question sometimes. Many Zoroastrians still feel burial is the right way for them. For burial, then we have Zoroastrian burials called Aram Ghas, and burial can be quite expensive compared to the cremation. In a joint statement, our High Priest, late Dastur Dr. Hormazia Mirza, Dastur Firoz Kotwa, Dastur Jama Sasa have expressed their preference for cremation over burial in the absence of the facility of Dokmen Ashini. This is according to the guide of funeral services prepared by Parsis of Southern California. In this matter, Dastur Firoz Kotwal in a private communication has said, both these methods, cremation and burial, are not in accord with the Zarathustrian tenets. However, due to unavailability of dogma, the preferable method of disposal will be cremation, as it takes less time and disposes the body speedily. If burial is the choice, the body is taken to the burial ground right after the Gaisana ceremony, and casket is lowered in the pit while reciting the Taurayas. If the body is cremated, the funeral home takes the body and keeps it under refrigeration until ready for cremation in a state-authorized facility. After the death certification and other legal paperwork is complete, family is given notice for the date and time and a place. At the time, the close families and maybe a Mobed are present to witness this. They can only witness this from a glass window. Body in the casket is rolled into crematorium chamber. The family morbid witnessing may pray at Tauverios as the casket is placed on the conveyor belt for the crematorium and the body is cremated. After that, the family leaves the crematorium and funeral home collects the final ashes, places them in a metal tin and delivers it to the family. Now I'm on 64. The family then disposes of the ashes according to the wishes of the deceased. This is a very important part to think about. If the ashes are to be spread in ocean, river or lake, there are special captains of ships who are authorized by the state to perform these final rites. The family should find such authorized captains, arrange with them for the final disposal of the ashes as regards time and date. Appointed time, a morbid, morbidiyar or a close family member should accompany the close family with the ashes to dispose it of. Captain of the ship usually takes them way out of the harbor and instructs them to dispose the ashes. Morbid and morbidiyar or a close family member and others recite the Taverio and scatter the ashes on the water. Some families, I am on slide number 65, may bring some flowers